children are creative from when they're tiny. If you embed creativity in children and support that natural creativity that children have, you can set them on a path which is enriching forever.
I think I'm influenced by very similar spaces to what I was when I was really young. I actually can still really vividly remember kind of the art studio at school. I love a really creative space that's messy, that there's lots of materials around you, and they're always the spaces that I still have the fondest memories of just working with friends and kind of creating, kind of being playful about art and kind of design. So they kind of still really resonate with me now.
Creativity is a funny thing. It can come from anywhere. I think you can do things to train it, definitely, and you can put yourself in an environment where you know it's going to come more easily. For me, I need light around me. I need to feel relaxed and often source material. So the amazing artists who've come before can really spark creativity and the imagination. So being in a gallery for me is an amazing experience.
Creativity in architecture very much quite often comes from discussion and collaboration. Ideas tend to emerge from just discussing a problem and thinking about what can happen. And I think what we really love is when we're working with clients and they're kind of really engaged in that conversation too. I think what we find great is that you have an idea, and then when you start discussing it and unpacking it, you multiply it. So the idea just multiplies and grows through the conversation. And then you kind of really start to get excited by the spark of what you're thinking about.
When we were thinking about planning the new Roden Centre for Creative Learning, it seemed like a real opportunity to work with children and families to think about what's in our new space. It would be such a shame if it was just me and my team coming up with ideas, when actually children have such incredible imaginations and are the most creative members of our society.
We had great time visiting a school in particular with some young children. They showed us around their school, and it was a real opportunity for them to tell us what spaces in the school really resonated with them. Where do you feel creative? What inspires you? Where do you feel comfortable? Where do you feel confident? So we visited different spaces with them, from their playground to pockets of spaces that they knew in the school and loved. And all of these places really made us think about kind of curiosity and exploring spaces.
We thought really carefully about what makes a good space for learning, and we looked at current research in learning environments. We know, for example, that daylight has a huge effect on how we all learn. So the centre has a wonderful new window that goes up all of the floors and lets daylight into our beautiful new spaces.
I think actually the thing I'm most proud of is the use of daylight. So this building, for those that weren't familiar with it, was very dark. It had dark glass, it had very limited amount of glazing. So we spent a lot of time working with the National Gallery to think about how daylight could play a much more important role. And I think one of the key things was how the windows also played a really important part in how people experienced the building from the outside. The dark glass previously meant that while it was also dark inside, people couldn't see in from the outside. You do see people in the street peering in, becoming inquisitive, then coming inquiring, and they come in and explore. And that's quite often people that maybe weren't planning on visiting the gallery at all, or have never visited the gallery before. And it's really nice to see them being drawn in, and the importance of that picture window into those opportunities and experiences. It's a really nice kind of side of seeing the gallery kind of open out to the street and for people to kind of explore it.
We know also that there's a certain decibel level. If you go above that level, your brain just can't take in information or can't function properly and can't be creative. So all of our spaces have acoustic treatment.
It's also been important to introduce kind of acoustics, both to allow us to create spaces that are really good for acoustics, but also to allow the introduction of sound into the spaces. So the spaces are equipped with integrated kind of speakers that allow for music or background noise, or even to explore noise as a way of exploring the collection and what's happening in a painting being explored through noises. So lots of different ways that we've kind of integrated into the building kind of functionality.
I was really surprised to learn that stacked seating actually has an impact on everyone's learning. So sitting in rows at the same height doesn't inspire people, but if you can break that up and get people sitting in a more relaxed way at different levels, it has an immediate effect on their learning.
We talk to the children a lot about furniture, and you'll see through the Learning Centre we use a lot of stepped motifs and spaces that they can sit, either as a large group in the theatre steps at the entrance, and then of course the smaller moments in the fragment houses where they can sit on an individual step and sort of be with their thoughts.
We also thought about the materials that were used on a daily basis throughout the gallery and realised that actually our framing department uses so many different sorts of woods. And some of that, of course, all the offcuts are wasted. So we collected those offcuts over at least 6 months, and this was made into the most beautiful new sustainable surfaces.
And it's a really lovely way. If you look very carefully, you can even see some of the framing shapes are still in those offcuts. And we use all the different woods, and it's a really nice tool to both be sustainable, but also as a tool to talk to children and young adults about sustainability, but also about these incredible woods over time and why they were used for particular paintings.
The National Gallery is for everybody, for all of the learners that visit. School children, families can use the space, including children and teachers from special schools and kids with special educational needs. We have amazing equipment and resources that enables everybody, whatever their learning style and learning needs, to connect with paintings. Families visiting the centre can also try our wonderful new augmented reality experience, Keeper of Paintings Canvas Quest. It was created with children and One Up Studios and takes visitors on a hide-and-seek adventure around our new spaces. Their creative space is a sensory learning space that enables visitors to explore paintings using all of their senses. It's about inclusive learning for absolutely everyone, which enables people to use their senses to explore our amazing collection. When a school visits the creative space, we have all sorts of wonderful, inspiring equipment and resources for them to use. For example, we have something called a sound beam, which is a piece of equipment in which we can upload all of our National Gallery paintings, and then children can create sounds in response to those paintings. And even if children have very limited movement, for example, they can nod a head or move a hand, move a finger, they can create sounds either alone or collaboratively with their friends.
It was this importance of being welcomed by the gallery and feeling this was a place for everyone. So it's been really important to think about the journey visitors make to come here. And in order to make it welcoming and in order to ensure that everybody can enjoy this space, we've had to think very carefully about accessibility, making sure that the building is accessible to all. And that goes right down from ensuring there's the right provisions, from having a dedicated changing place, this kind of toilet and disabled toilet. We've also got accessibility in all the doors with kind of automated doors and operations, really down to tactility, thinking about the heights of handrails and things just to make sure it's as accessible as possible. But it's also thinking about the practicalities. So it was important to have a space in the Learning Centre where school groups, but also kind of younger audiences and adults and families could bring their own lunch. So there's a social space that really allows people to come and bring their own lunch. So it's about thinking about affordability, about a space that welcomes them. And another key one was lockers. So when we worked with the teachers, it was incredibly important for them to think about how when you're bringing 30 to 60 to 90 children off public transport into the gallery from London, and having that moment where you can immediately kind of and quite quickly prepare them for their experience in the gallery. It's all open, it's all visible, it's easy to access, it's easy to control, and children can then, and adults and teachers can then immediately go on their journey and explore the collection, which is what they're here to do.
So for the first time, the National Gallery in our beautiful new centre has a drop-in space for families. So every weekend and during school holidays, every day, families can come by for free and take part in activities. The opportunities now are so exciting. We've never had a space for creative making activities before. We've never had a free family drop-in space before. And we've never had a space centering around inclusive, accessible learning.
There's a number of elements within it that we're really proud of. So I think the fragment wall will always be really special. I think just the process we went through in developing it, and so many people were involved, from curatorial to the conservators to the learning team, and of course working with the children. So it was both one of the most enjoyable things that we've had the pleasure of designing, but also when people come in, it really seems to resonate with them. It's just a really thoughtful but playful way for the collection to be introduced in the building, and that's kind of something that we're really proud of.
I'm proud of all of it, but I suppose I'm most proud when I see hundreds of children coming through every day. They're just enjoying the spaces, connecting to artwork, connecting to their own creativity, and I do feel really proud. I really hope we have created a space where every family feels welcome and everyone feels entitled to come and explore and connect with paintings in the National Gallery. I love to see intergenerational learning, children, parents, grandparents, siblings, having fun, enjoying themselves together, doing things perhaps they might not have been able to do before, in the most beautiful environment with the highest quality materials. This space is really for absolutely everybody, and I really want everyone to come and get creative.